Today on Investigate TV Plus, when lives are forever changed at the hands of a school shooter, should the parents of child suspects also face justice?
People are accepting mass shootings in our schools as normal, and that right there has to change.
We examine recent rulings and the future of these courtroom decisions.
Do you expect to see more prosecutors charging parents in these types of cases?
I do.
Plus, avoidable emergency room visits clog a system for those who need it most.
You'd be stunned what people call for. I've had people call for having a bad dream.
An in-depth look at the potential solution rolling out on city streets.
And proof a little grace can go a long way.
It was a hand up, not a hand down.
We take you to a shelter helping people get back on their feet so they can run.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
It was a landmark decision, the first of its kind. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Parents found guilty in connection with the actions of their son. In November 2021, Ethan Crumbley shot and killed 4 students at Oxford High School in Michigan. His parents, Jennifer and James, were sentenced to 10 years in prison for failing to stop what the sentencing judge called a, quote, runaway train.
It may seem novel, parents facing criminal culpability following their child's deadly action.
But legal experts say it's likely to continue as communities grapple with widespread gun violence at schools.
In 2024 alone, there were 205 shootings at U.S. schools and 58 people were killed. One of those incidents at Appalachia High School in Georgia, where 2 students and 2 teachers were killed in a mass shooting. The father, in that case, now faces charges of his own.
Experts say these cases could signal a fundamental shift in the way our justice system holds parents accountable, particularly when gun safety is lacking and red flags are ignored.
As reporter Heather Graff shows us, this all comes as innocent lives are at stake.
It's incredibly difficult. It's every day.
November 30th, 2021 will forever haunt Steve St. Juliana.
It's not something that we'll ever get away from.
Because on that day, a student at Michigan's Oxford High School took a semi-automatic rifle onto campus and turned Steve's world upside down.
It wasn't until I was in the car driving up to the school, I think that things really started to sink in.
Hours later, Steve would learn the unthinkable. His daughter, Hannah, a freshman at the school, was one of 4 children killed.
Life is just darker with her gone. She was the heart and soul of our family.
The shooter was sentenced to life in prison without parole, but he didn't face a guilty verdict alone.
These convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that could have halted an oncoming runaway train.
His mother and father were convicted of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the shooting. Prosecutors in both trials argued James and Jennifer Crumbley were grossly negligent, failing to secure firearms in their home and ignoring signs of their son's mental health issues.
It's not about punishing the parents for what the shooter did. There were multiple opportunities for them to prevent this from happening. It was repeated opportunities, repeated instances of negligence.
They were high-profile cases because no parents in this country had ever before been held criminally responsible for a mass shooting committed by their child. That fact not lost on Jennifer Crumbley, who spoke at her sentencing.
I understand this is a novel case and punishment expectations are high.
She and James Crumbley were both given 10 to 15 years in prison, the maximum sentence. Although their cases were the first of their kind, they haven't been the last.
Let's go ahead and bring in the defendant, Mr. Colin Gray.
In Georgia, a father faces dozens of charges, including second-degree murder, in connection to a shooting his son is accused of committing at Appalachia High School in September 2024. Prosecutors allege he provided the gun used to murder 2 students and 2 teachers.
I think this is that rare moment where those who are pro-Second Amendment and those who are more restrictive gun rights can agree on this.
Emory law professor John Acevedo says while gun rights in both Georgia and Michigan are fairly well protected, Americans in every corner of the country are fed up with the violence.
It really seems to be a combination of frustration by people that there's not a way to hold more accountability and to kind of stop these incidents from happening, as well as district attorneys looking for ways to discourage them from occurring again in their jurisdiction.
With regard to the Crumbley convictions, there is consensus in the legal community that they've created a new and important legal precedent.
Do you expect to see more prosecutors charging parents in these types of cases?
I do. If you can get a conviction in Georgia, that would give you 2 states, 2 sort of different states.
Josh Horwitz is co-director at the Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence, where through research and advocacy, he and his team are working to reduce gun violence 30% by 2030. He says these prosecutions could help achieve this goal.
We see too many school shooters getting their firearms at home, and I think the community in general are sick of that. And prosecutors specifically understand that they've always had a tool, but now's the time to use it.
Does this signal a fundamental change within our justice system?
I think time will tell. I hope it does.
As such, Acevedo says prosecutors will need to be thoughtful as they consider pursuing charges against parents.
There is the danger of over-policing and over-prosecution that may come with this.
But he adds responsible gun owners should have nothing to worry about.
The negligence in all these cases comes from parents not securing their guns in a proper way. That can be in a safe with a trigger lock by removing the ammunition from the house, keeping it separate if it is in the house.
According to Everytown for Gun Safety, 26 states and D.C. have child access prevention laws, which aim to reduce pediatric firearm injuries. But even in states without such legislation, gun owners could still face legal consequences if a child accesses the weapon and causes harm.
And really, in my heart of hearts, I hope we never see any other prosecution because parents will learn from this.
Back in Michigan, Steve has been a vocal advocate for reform.
It's about trying to ensure that no other families have to go through this. Our children have already been taken from us. It's not about us. It's not for us. We're doing this for everybody else because they just have no idea, no clue.
And he adds he hopes they never do.
People are accepting mass shootings in our schools as normal. And that right there has to change. Enough is enough.
We also spoke to a former Kentucky prosecutor who says just years ago, testing the limits of parental blame was far more controversial. In 2018, Mark Blankenship considered bringing charges against the stepfather of a teen who killed 2 students and injured 18 others. He tells us he wanted to prosecute, but says his colleagues weren't so sure.
The day after the shooting, I remember making the statement, this was completely preventable. And I would like to pursue charges against the stepfather because that gun should have been locked up. And I mean, the pushback was immediately. What I was hearing is it's not the parents' fault. It's not the gun's fault. It's the shooter.
And what do you think has changed since your case in 2018?
There's been so many school shootings now. It's just become a part of American life. And I think citizens are so sick and tired of it, they want it to stop.
Blankenship says he ultimately decided against indicting the shooter's stepfather, but he adds if the attack had happened today, he believes prosecution would have been more widely supported.
Colin Gray, the father being charged in connection to the Appalachia High School shooting in Georgia, pleaded not guilty to the charges against him.
As for the Michigan school shooter's parents, James Crumbley's attorney declined to comment on this story, and Jennifer Crumbley's attorney did not respond to our repeated inquiries.
Still ahead, paramedics who take on a more personal role when a patient calls 911.
So while it may take more time in the now, it's saving just so many other hours.
We examine a model helping patients avoid the emergency room.
Plus, we reveal the key to your child's success in the classroom, what experts say parents can do right now to help set up their child for academic achievement. For some already struggling to get by, healthcare access can be a serious challenge.
Little things like refilling a prescription or getting to a doctor's appointment are hurdles that can add up to an emergency.
A 2022 study from the U.S. Census Bureau found those who lack access to resources like income, insurance, and transportation are more likely to end up in the emergency room for preventive care.
In an attempt to address this, the city of Portland, Oregon partnered with a nonprofit to help those who don't necessarily face an emergency when they call 911.
Reporter Ezra Kaplan takes us along for a ride with a specialized service already making a difference.
7, looks like it's an overdose. Medical's rolling.
Every time there is a medical emergency in Portland, dispatch has to decide what resources to send out. But not every 911 call requires the same level of response.
You'd be stunned what people call for. I've had people call for having a bad dream. I've had people call for tearing a toenail off. I've had people call because they couldn't sleep. So that's why a program like Chat needs to be created to take that burden off of the 911 system. Like, it doesn't make sense to send a fire engine and an ambulance to someone who had a bad dream.
Instead, Portland Fire and Rescue has a team called Chat, which stands for Community Health Assess and Treat. Deputy Fire Chief Stephanie Sullivan leads the program, which was started in 2021.
So Chat is our low acuity medical response team out of Portland Fire. They're non-sworn employees who go on calls instead of the fire department and sometimes instead of AMR. And what we do is we try to interrupt this cycle where folks are using healthcare and the emergency room system as their primary source of health care delivery.
We got the opportunity to spend the day with Chat 1 and see for ourselves what their work entails. The team received a call to respond to a shelter in Portland's old Greyhound bus station. One of the residents had fallen behind on filling her prescriptions and was struggling with the side effects of missing her medication.
We're here because we're just concerned for you, right? We want you to be happy and healthy. And
I need my meds. That's all I need is my meds.
Right, and we're here to help you navigate that. But the ER is not the best place to navigate that.
She was having a hard time, but another trip to the hospital wasn't the solution.
Okay, well, I'm going to let the ambulance go back in service, and then we're going to kind of make some phone calls right here, okay?
They ended up calling her doctor and getting her prescriptions all sorted out.
We're having one of our EMTs go ahead and pick that up, and then we're going to have it delivered to her here.
In all, the team spent about an hour with the patient.
I'd say this is like a pretty classic Chat call. So while it may take more time in the now, it's saving just so many other hours of resources.
In Oregon, each visit to the emergency room costs an average of $1,600.
It's almost $9 million in healthcare savings just since we've started. And that comes from us treating people in the field. Because we all know when you get a bill to go to the emergency room, it's not cheap.
Chat has an operating budget of $3.4 million, and they are looking to expand. But funding has been a challenge.
Right now, all of our money is just coming from grants and this one-time funding from the city.
So what does that mean for the future of the Chat program?
Well, it means that we can't expand. Right now, we have a very small team. Our Care Oregon grant was reduced, so we went from operating 7 days a week to operating 4 days a week.
And for those on the front lines, there's no shortage of work to be done. Another part of the Chat team's mission, responding to drug overdose calls. In addition to the opioid overdose reversal drug Narcan, paramedics can administer Suboxone, a drug that can minimize the effects of opioid withdrawal. The opioid response team then connects the patient to a treatment center and follows up 90 days after the initial 911 call. Reporting in Portland, Oregon, I'm Ezra Kaplan.
Still ahead, turning a house into a home.
Then coming down the hallway is the first of 4 private rooms.
We show you how the shelter works to serve a critical need.
Plus, dads on duty.
When they see somebody, a dad or a father figure wearing the yellow shirt, you know, it's somebody they can trust, and it's a positive role model that they can look up to.
We reveal the idea that welcomes father figures to the classroom. Many parents want to do everything they can to ensure their child's success in school.
Experts say for decades, researchers have pointed to one key success factor: parental involvement. According to the Annie E. Casey Foundation, students whose parents stay involved in school have better attendance and behavior, get better grades, and demonstrate better social skills. In an effort to get more parents involved in their child's academics, an Arizona school is trying something new.
Reporter Jason Berry takes us to the campus where you'll find a group of dedicated dads.
You know what I normally do? I go row by row.
They help out in the classroom.
Oh, you gotta put your feet up.
Keep an eye on kids at the playground.
There we go.
It's hard to miss those guys wearing bright yellow shirts at Norterra Canyon School in North Phoenix.
When you walk on campus and you see the sea of yellow shirts, you just get excited to see how they're helping kids.
This pre-K through 8 school in the Deer Valley School District is the first in Arizona to launch the Watchdogs, an innovative program designed to get more dads, granddads, uncles, and other father figures involved in their kids' education.
She swallowed the pencils to write on the paper.
In years past, it's been mostly moms stepping up to volunteer. But with more dads having flexible schedules and working from home, there's more time to help out at school.
I think the biggest thing is fathers didn't have a path to volunteer, so having the Watchdogs here really opens up a path to make it easier to know how to volunteer and get involved.
I have stickers today. Do you want a sticker today?
Anthony Esparza tells us about 30 men are currently volunteering, rotating every week, going wherever they're needed. He says having the extra eyes and ears on campus enhances school safety while helping to reduce bullying.
It's important that they see the students see the presence and throughout the school and understand that when they see somebody, a dad or a father figure wearing the yellow shirt, you know, it's somebody they can trust, and it's a positive role model that they can look up to.
School officials insist these dads have already made a difference, boosting kids' confidence and improving test scores. It's no surprise then that they're being treated as local celebrities.
I've been in the grocery store where another student's there and they're telling me the Watchdog's right around the corner. Have you seen them, Mrs. Milks? The kids laugh with them, the teachers laugh with them. Just the vibe is very positive and exciting on campus when they're here.
Back when my kids were younger, I used to love going to their school and I would read to the class. It was fun.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do. And these kids, they seem to know exactly who the dads are, and I'm sure they're like, we don't want to make his dad mad or her dad mad.
No doubt about that.
So the behavior's better, I bet.
Yes, it is. According to the dadsofgreatstudents.com, the Watchdogs program is in more than 5,000 schools in 46 states. As for how you can get involved in your child's education right now, the Annie E. Casey Foundation suggests you read with them, help with homework, and discuss school events.
Still ahead, from homeless and hopeless to housed and helping others.
I just ride past a hotel and I just say, thank you, Jesus, because that was the hardest time of my life.
We share her inspiring motivation and transformation. According to federal experts, more than half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck and are one crisis away from homelessness.
A mom of 4 who found herself in this situation is now back on her feet thanks to her county's only homeless shelter.
Reporter Carly Gordon shares her inspiring journey and the shelter's mission to help more families.
Her head is held high, her future now bright. But to get to this point, Constance Granberry had to endure the darkest of lows.
It was hard. It really was.
2 months after starting nursing school, doctors diagnosed her husband with heart failure. He couldn't work, so Constance had to do more.
I was working 2 jobs, 2 part-time jobs, and then I was going to school at night, and then I was pregnant with my 4th child.
The setbacks just kept coming. Eventually, Constance and her family were evicted.
We were just hotel to hotel, keeping a roof over our heads, and we were looking for help.
That's when she found Reverend Jeff Kane, the founder of Murray County's only homeless shelter, the Room in the Inn.
It was a hand up, not a hand down.
Over the last 8 years, Kane and his crew have helped over 1,000 mid-state families, and the need only continues to grow.
I get a call, probably 2 or 3 calls a day, and emails on top of that. I'm living in my car. I've been evicted. I'm working. I have family. What can you do?
It's why they're now working on this.
Then coming down the hallway is the first of 4 private rooms.
Soon, this old abandoned church will house 4 families while they work to get back on their feet.
And that's what Room in the Inn is, just people walking in saying, I'm broken, I'm so lonely, I'm lost, I don't know where to turn.
People like Constance, who recently graduated from her nursing program with a 3.71 GPA. She's back to working full-time, paying rent on a home, and is now waiting to sit for the state board exam. Her oldest daughter, by the way, just made honor roll.
I just ride past a hotel and I just say, thank you, Jesus, because that was the hardest time of my life.
It turns out all Constance needed was a little grace. We all do sometimes, and this house will help make that possible.
It's going to build up so many families because, I mean, I know I'm not the only one this happens to, and this place has the potential to do the same exact thing, take them further than what they could believe they can go.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, an elderly woman wanders away from her assisted living facility and is found dead days later.
We think someone ought to be held accountable.
Our investigation uncovers potential gaps in safety at care facilities nationwide, and we hear from a family advocating to protect aging loved ones.